Good morning and welcome to an all-new Eye of the Tiger. I'm Connor.
And I'm Connor.
In recent months, district board meetings have seen an influx of parent comment and hostility. We go to Nathan Handling with more on the meetings.
So one of the board meetings I went to, there was a woman probably in her 50s who saw a child, probably about 10-year-old child, an elementary school age child that was there. He was there to promote and talk about his charter school that they were talking about. And he was wearing a mask, but he was wearing it down below his mouth. And she saw him and started heckling him from across the room for wearing a mask. So when a grown adult heckles a child, that's probably not the best behavior.
Board meetings are a place for the general public to commend, comment, and/or criticize the board. In the past, meetings were held in the district office in a room that held no more than a few dozen, and in many cases, there were no more than a handful of people that attended. Public comment was near non-existent, and police were almost never in attendance. However, over the last few months, board meetings have seen a spike in attendance as well as public comment, leading to a livelier experience to say the least.
The demeanor is there's people there that want to talk, and they're showing up to be able to do that during the meeting, which is part of what the meeting's there for and part of what they're allowed to do.
With so much of the table taken up by parents, there hasn't been much space left for teachers or students. The inequality of voice prompted RSEA President Jessica Fork to speak at the February 24th meeting with the force of her peers behind her.
We try to illustrate daily how to work within the system rather than fight against it. We are here continuing to lead by example for our students. We have witnessed behavior that has led us to one of the worst crises seen in our careers within the district. Unjustified anger towards teachers has not been challenged in our board meetings and has only grown over these last 2 years.
The speech was met with heckling from her opposition. With the growth in division and the inflamed politics, many teachers as well as Fork have begun steering their colleagues and students away from meetings out of fear of what could happen.
100% the anger and animosity coming in those board meetings is making teachers not want to go because they don't feel safe, and even students don't feel safe. And sometimes even I'll tell students not to go to them because I'm concerned about what will be there if I know it's going to be a particularly hot topic, because I don't want my students to get in the middle of some of these parents, and the parents are yelling at kids for wearing masks. And
these hot topics are current societal issues such as whether or not to mandate masks and/or vaccines in schools. Many of the meetings that have seen the most attendance have been those with masking policies on the agenda. And while not every meeting has been focused or even had these issues on the agenda, each meeting gets hotter and hotter as the months continue.
I'm talking to these teachers. I'm talking to the parents. You have a choice. Take off the mask or wear the mask and stop asking for permission. You are free people, and you do not need to ask to be free.
Would you please address the board?
As the meetings continue to be a battleground for public opinion, teachers have been seen in fewer numbers than in previous years or even months, which has been targeted as a point of contention as to whether or not they care.
I have not once seen this many teachers show up to support the students that are crying out because they can't breathe.
However, Marsh sees this as simply teachers not wanting to put themselves in the line of fire more than they have to.
Well, we don't go to the board meetings because we're home making lesson plans and grading papers and preparing to teach your students the next day as well. But a lot of it is that if I don't have to subject myself to that kind of negative and harmful rhetoric, then I'm not going to.
The next board meeting will be on April 28th at 6:30 at Wood Creek High School. Now we go to Chris Gibson with sports.
Thanks, Connors. Today in sports, we will take a more in-depth look on golf success, as well as softball's missing piece of equipment. Good morning and welcome to this Friday's edition of EOTSN. I'm Chris Gibson. Monday, boys golf had potentially their match of the year in an 18-hole tournament. They won by a whole 30 strokes, topping former first place Wood Creek. Carter Jones led the squad, shooting a 70, placing first out of every golfer in the tournament. Additionally, Grant Burback placed fifth, shooting a 77. Braden Runkle placed sixth with a 78, and Jobin Kajili placed eighth with a 79.
Yeah, so we had a golf tournament on Monday. We did really good. Tournaments have all 7 teams in league all play together at once. And so we finished first out of all 7 teams in league. And the closest competitor was Wood Creek, which we beat by over 30 shots. We shot a 390, they shot a 420. So I think now we are first in the league.
Okay, so as a team, we've been doing really good. The only match we've lost was our first one. It was a tiebreaker to Wood Creek, but we've played a tournament on Monday, and we beat Wood Creek by 30, I think. So season's going pretty good. We play them today, actually. So hoping for a big win. And then personally, I've been playing pretty good. Always can do better, but I'm pretty happy with how I've been playing.
The softball team has recently been having issues regarding a vehicle students see around the campus all the time. For more on the story, we hand it over to Ryan Irvine.
The varsity softball team has been dominant for years at the school. Despite this, the team has struggled to get maintenance out to help drag and clean the field, leaving the players having to do the work. The team saved money a few years ago to help buy a golf cart, but senior infielder Shay McDowell feels they've ran into some problems with owning it.
So we raised money to get the golf cart a couple years ago, and we've had it ever since then, as long as I've been here. And recently, a couple years ago, it was taken for a yard duty who broke her leg, so that way it was more convenient for her to get around campus.
The team lended their golf cart to the school monitor, leaving the field to be dragged manually, and then ran into a few complications in getting the golf cart back.
It was kind of a struggle getting the golf cart back because I think the school ended up paying for some repairs for it, so the money we paid to get the golf cart and the money that they used to repair it kind of evened out, so it was kind of a hard process to get it back.
The team has been getting the golf cart back every now and then, but not with much consistency. And with their field beat up, senior outfielder Issa Young feels they really depend on the golf cart.
We use it to drag. Our field has quite a few rocks and just it's bumpy in general, and so that is what we use to drag our field.
The team field is riddled with bumps and holes, and McDowell feels the golf cart could really help.
Our field isn't really safe to play on as of right now, but we're hoping that the golf cart will help with that.
As the season goes on, the team still fights for custody of the golf cart to keep their field in shape.
Well, there'll be some days that we just won't get it, and so then we just have to wait till the next day before practice to drag our field.
They said the deal was that if we have the golf cart back, that us players aren't allowed to drive it, which honestly isn't that big of a deal. But since our field's so far away, sometimes we'll use it to drive up to the bathroom so we don't lose practice time, but I'd rather have it than not.
Golf cart or not, the softball team is continuing to dominate the competition with their 9-3 win over River Valley on Wednesday. They go to Yuba City tonight, hoping to extend the 4-game win streak. In other sports action for tonight, baseball is hoped to finish off their 3-game series versus Intercom, and both boys and girls lacrosse take on Wood Creek, with the boys team going there. And that's all on your home for Roseville High School sports, top plays, breakdowns, and more. The Tiger Sports Network, EOTSN. And now we go over to entertainment.
Thanks, Chris. Wednesday, the highly anticipated Marvel show Moon Knight premiered on Disney Plus to great reviews by fans and critics alike. Viewers loved the new feel of Marvel with that dark and gritty vibe that Moon Knight gives off. The premiere was downright creepy at times and kept you interested throughout. Oscar Isaac looks fantastic in the role and will be interesting to see his portrayal as more episodes come out. The split personality of the main characters certainly makes for an interesting dynamic, and though maybe confusing for some, it is insanely cool and it was done perfectly in episode 1. Ethan Hawke, who plays the main villain of the show, Arthur Harrow, also had a great performance in episode 1. Arthur Harrow is described as a religious zealot and cult leader devoted to the Egyptian god of Amen. Harrow is perceived as creepy and mysterious in episode 1, and it'll be interesting to see how his character changes as the show goes on. Moon Knight is set in London with one of Isaac's character's personas, Stephen Grant, working at a museum gift shop. Another persona we see is ex-Marine Mark Spector, who is the killing force that powers Moon Knight. In the comics, Moon Knight is the avatar of Konish, the Egyptian god of the moon. Moon Knight is said to do his bidding on Earth, and it looks like something similar could be happening in Moon Knight. Moon Knight had easily the best first episode of any of the Marvel shows so far, and it looks primed to continue with the next episode set to focus on the Mark persona. Moon Knight is creepy and interesting, and it works its new vibe for the MCU, and it really feels fresh, darker, and bloodier. And that's what the fans have really wanted. Also, Morbius is set to premiere tonight, and save your time, don't spend your money. Reviews are awful, and Jared Leto does not seem to work as a comic book movie character, with this being his second role, also Joker being his other. And now we go back to news.
Thanks, Jackson. The spring rally is today after fourth period from 2 to 2:30.
And that's it for Stay on the Tiger.
Remember, we're always on at iTheTigerNews.com. See you next time.